Good morning, Grand Valley. I'm Jesse Bernal, and I serve as Vice President for Inclusion and Equity and Chief of Staff. I want to welcome folks to our first, at least in our memory, our first State of the University address. Thank you, President Mantella, for hosting and sharing your reflections on today and looking ahead as we celebrate our collective successes over the past year, identify new opportunities, and chart our path forward. Thank you for your vision and for your leadership. I'd like to also introduce my colleagues who joined us today, who you see on the screen. Tom Butcher, our Vice President and General Counsel. Dr. Maria Chimatile, Provost and Executive Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs. Karen Loth, our Vice President for University Development. Matt McLogan, our Vice President for University Relations. Dr. Greg Saniel, our Vice President for Finance and Administration. Dr. Milos Topic, Vice President for Information Technology and Chief Digital Officer, and Dr. Dante Truss, our Vice President for Enrollment Development and Educational Outreach. While you won't be hearing from many of us or everyone during this session, you will have the opportunity to engage and meet many of the vice presidents, other university leaders, and student leaders following the address during our Q&A sessions. We'll give you some more instructions on that at the end of the address. Now it's my honor to welcome and introduce our fifth president of Grand Valley State University, Dr. Philomena Mantella.
Good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be with you today and to have this opportunity to close out our academic year with a State of the University address. Looking forward to the future when we're doing this in person and we're, getting together after the conversation to meet and connect. But I do encourage you to visit into one of the sessions, the Q&A sessions, because it will afford the opportunity for you to explore more deeply on our the issues that we raised today and to meet our vice presidents, particularly our new vice presidents, Milos Topic and Dante Truss, who joined us in the midst of a pandemic this year. And so if you haven't had the opportunity, please join our colleagues and have an opportunity to get to know them through the Q&A. I wish that we could have engagement in this large group. You can see there's about 700 people that are on this Zoom call with us today. So we will, I will present a look at the past, a look at the present, and a look at the future that hopefully sets a context for good conversation in the groups with the vice president. So I hope through the combination that we've set up for you today as a State of the University that we will feed your appetite on what you'd like to know more about as a member and a citizen of this great university. Let me first start with acknowledging that this is a year like no other. And I say that, and I think that those words don't convey the meaning that it all has to us to be, over 100 years since we've been impacted by a global pandemic, the political strife in this year, the clear signals that we have work to do as a citizenry around racial justice and equality, equity. And so it has been a year like no other. So many of you deserve acknowledgement, and I could spend the whole 45 minutes acknowledging all of you as a part of our community that made this year as successful as it has been and kept our culture and our community together on this journey. I want to call out just a few people, and there's always a risk when you do that, so I apologize to those that I miss. Because this work has been incredible. Let me start with our own essential workforce. They have carried on in all sorts of conditions. Our housing area has pivoted to various forms of housing, isolation, and quarantine, and kept our students safe. Our facilities area, led by Tim Timish and Rents Meredith and their teams, have handed out over 100,000 disposable masks, 50,000 cloth GV masks as a fashion must, of course. I have one here around my neck and always have one with me. They've put up 1,800 plexiglass shields to keep us safe in our offices and in our classrooms. They've cleaned over 780 million square feet in the last 12 months at an average of 3 million square feet a day. I mean, just think about the work effort that was not there a year ago as we kept our campus safe and clean and beautiful, full of flowers, and has exponentially increased through the pandemic. Our police officers who have kept a mindful eye on our public safety in this period of stress and strife. Our IT team who has kept us running digitally. And I think as we think about the infrastructure of our university, the importance of being able to deliver our education, even in the face of disruption, we see the value not only of the infrastructure, but these individuals. Our staff that has adjusted to many forms of delivery of their work, to individual sessions, from group sessions to online to hybrid, to over hundreds and hundreds of COVID safe events. To the senior team, colleagues that are on this call, thank you, thank you, thank you. You have helped with communicating in over 50 virtual town halls and sessions to keep communication moving so our community would know and understand the rationale, reason, and direction of our work. And you have led your units exceptionally well. To our incident management team, a number of individuals who kept us safe as we pivoted and thought of first COVID as an incident that we faced, and then to our virus action team that we shaped around the skills and competencies we needed to be able to respond and react on a daily basis to safety, well-being, integration with our community public health leaders and our state and the policy making that was happening at that level. To our students who have continued to study through no end of transitions, I'm sure at the macro level. Some of you, I wonder if you just like to never get an email from me again, because those emails kept coming with shifts and changes and requests for you to be that Laker that we know you always can be, which is to lead the way on what's good for not only ourselves, but for others. And of course, to our faculty, who are the backbone of serving our mission, fulfilling our mission at this university and educating our students. You went remote and enhanced the online delivery in mid-course of over 7,600 courses. You continue to work through the University Academic Senate together with the administrations on the choices and policies that we needed to adjust to. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is with my deep appreciation to all of you, every one that is on this call and a part of our community, just want you to know that we recognize and see the key role you have played through many times your own personal and professional stress. All of this through a polarizing political and economically difficult and some of the worst moments of racial injustice that we have experienced, again, signaling the need to stay focused on our civil rights and our social justice and our ability to dialogue with one another. These are examples. As I was preparing for today, I was stepping back and I was saying, what does moving through a crisis and the behavior of a community in the way in which they undertake the work of moving through a crisis, what does it signal? What does it say about Grand Valley State University? And the first thing, I'm going to talk to you in groups of 5 today. So I have 5 things I want to share with you, which is, I think, what it says about who we are. My reflections that I want to share with you. I'm sure you have your own, and I invite you to add to mine and make it an even richer mosaic of who we are. And then as we talk about the future, I'm going to talk about the 5 areas of focus for me personally. But now I'd like to talk about what I think all of that contribution says about who we are as Grand Valley State University. First, it says, we face challenges head on. We face challenges head on. We don't shy away from the work necessary. We don't immediately go into our armchairs and talk about what we think. We do the work. We face it head on. I want to read a letter, and I was with the provost on the riverfront we were supposed to be kayaking, but we didn't get in the water because it was 35 degrees on the day we went down to kayak with our honor students. But I ran into a student there, Kate Karen, and her father had written me a letter, and I asked her to seek permission from her dad for me to read the letter today, an excerpt. I'm not going to read the whole letter, but an excerpt, because I want you to also share the message of one of our parents that I hope represents many more voices. So this is the excerpt that I want to share with you. Obviously, Kate gave me that permission, and her dad did as well. So thank you, Mr. Karen. First of all, I want to thank you all for the courage you have shown in the collegiate world, not only for Michigan, but for the nation. It would have been easy for you to follow the pack and abandon a full year of campus life and default to the untested 100% online model. Though there was an incredible case to be made for this path, it was not the only path. You had the vision that there was a middle ground, and through that middle ground, there would be many ebbs and flows throughout the year that must have made you think twice. Thank you for sticking to your strategy. It worked wonderfully. I wanted to share that with you, not to reinforce my leadership, but to reinforce our leadership, what all of your work meant to our students. And when the provost and I walked with those students in the class down to the riverfront, many of them commented on the care of their faculty, the opportunity. They thanked us repeatedly for the opportunity to have had some face-to-face experience. The provost and I were apologetic that they couldn't have it all, because that's what we wanted for them. But they acknowledged the importance of our work, and they acknowledged it in a world, in a state, and a nation that had made different choices. So that's the first thing, is we faced the work. We did it together. The second is we put our people first. I think one symbol of that is we came out of the gate saying we are going to care for a full community, whether here or away. We're not going to play the game of trying to reduce the numbers of our COVID cases to that which is in our halls or our campus or going through our health centers. We took the world view of our students far and away, and we made our people a priority. We knew if we weren't the person to isolate them, we might be the person to reach out for them and see if they had food in their home, or if their mother or father had lost a job, or if they were dealing with their own health crisis. We put people first, and we kept a priority on our students. Number three, we gave it up individually for the greater good. Every single one of us foregone compensation increases. Students understood with some consternation a tuition increment in order to give more money to those in need. Each division reduced the budget at a 5% to 8% level, being sure to protect our core academic activity at the 5% level. We gave it up individually for the greater good. Third, we strengthened ourselves where we needed greater strength in new domains. We brought together a virus action team. We sought out a relationship with Spectrum. We made new relationships with public health. We put some of our leadership's dedicated time, Greg Sanyel, who's had much experience in leading through crisis, into the work directly. So we gave it up we strengthened ourselves in new domains. Number four, we doubled down on equity. We're going through self-examination. We're supporting our communities through networks of support. And we've made targeted investments in the communities and regions where we live or where we know the economics and the diversity within that community signal a greater need for support. And lastly, we didn't allow progress to stop. And I know this was hard. Many times you probably scratched your head and said, 100% of our energy should be in the crisis. But we never do that. We never do it in our own home and family. We don't say, we're going to put on hold your future, young rising senior. We continue to have conversations. We continue to work, even if we must pivot. So we too continued our work in innovation. UAS saw hundreds of policy increases, hundreds, 300, 400, 500 curricular revisions. So we is the greater we, not the administrative we. We is all of us that continued progress moving. We had communities members step up to lead Reach Higher together, Reach Higher 2025. So for me, who came to this university because I saw something incredibly special in the people, in the mission, in the way it had been acted out over 60 years. We just celebrated a birthday as an institution. It was all reinforced through the crisis. Sure, we did it and we were stressed, we are tired, we are anxious, but we are strong as we come into the present. So let's talk a few moments about our strength in the present. Where are we? So first of all, if you've been watching the virus action teams, dashboard on a regular basis, our incidence of virus, our wellness as a community is well below our surrounding state and our surrounding communities. So we're winning the battle. We're urging everyone on this call and all of our students to get the vaccines, to keep themselves safe, to keep up practices, but we come into the end of this year and transitioning to next year, healthy and safe. We went into this COVID crisis unsure of what would happen to our enrollment, what would happen to our financial position. We did what was necessary to prepare for uncertainty. We came in, thanks to my predecessors. Hopefully my successors will also be thanking me, but thanks to my predecessors, we came into this crisis strong, and we are in a stronger financial position today. And again, Greg will be leading the conversation on this afterwards and can share with you some of the way we've been thinking about keeping this university strong and financially healthy. We are going into the financial planning, the budgeting for fiscal 22, not anticipating budget reductions. We are going into this not anticipating budget reductions. However, there's a big however in capital letters. The however is we have to do our work as a community to help our students to cross whatever transom, the questions they have as a of our university, the experience they'll have in the fall, to continue their education here or online. We are in a strong position. The admissions team and the university community and the extended group that has worked through the strategic enrollment management plan and the advisors and the faculty who are connecting with students, we are in a position where we have a 16% increase in admitted students with much greater diversity than ever before, with similar academic profile. Let me say that again. We have a 16% increase in admitted students with greater diversity, and we are in a strong position coming into this year. However, a number of admitted students mean nothing. It's students who join us, students who return. So we're in a great position, but we all must do our work. We've planned this 22 budget with a 2% enrollment growth. I'm going to talk about why. I'm going to talk about why we've planned it with a 2% enrollment growth, but we're seeing it. We're seeing it already. People want the Grand Valley experience. There is uncertainty. There is restoration of the full experience. We have work to do, but they want it. They're signaling they want it, and we have it here ready for them. And we have it in our hands to realize the opportunity to not have a year that we're reducing our budgets incrementally across this university, or we're holding our compensation levels, or we're not able to respond to the next crisis. So I want to also say that we are continuing to innovate with purpose. We've had a number of exciting developments this year. We've launched the new LEADS program in Brooks College. It was a program that had a fabulous model through the IRIS development and work and integrated studies, and we enriched it with certificates, and we have over 200 students that are enrolled in it today, and we're anticipating 500 over the year ahead. We announced a Next Ed Accelerator. We expanded, thanks to the good work of Sharuk Amalal and others in Seidman, the Veterans Entrepreneurial Lab, and many, many more. We also have innovated in the classroom, which is the most important space. We can talk about the programs that are broad sweeping, or maybe speaking to a specific national interest on Veterans Day, to how we're expanding our veterans work. But what happens each and every day in the classroom is important. I want to highlight just a few again. Professors Paul Lane and Ryan Lafferty, who in the honors program not only continued their in-person work, but prepared international meals that went along with the content of study for students in those in-person meetings. Dr. Leone, who began a virtual student cafe, allowing students not only to engage with her in an office hour format, but to engage with each other, which students were hungry for. And Dr. McCormick, who facilitated on-site opportunities in OSHA in order to continue working and studying through their experiential learning and help companies respond to the COVID safety protocols necessary in the workplace. And to our own Professor Robert Talbert, whose article recently on coming out of this pandemic and our obligations as educators is one of the most read articles in EdCert and Inside Higher Ed, calling us to recognize that the quote, that the framework that previously worked in higher education are no longer guaranteed to function. And that we, the content of his article, need to focus on when we are together in person, in engagement, experiencing one another in the fullness that we enjoy, that we have to think long and hard, every one of us, about what we do with that time. Thank you to everyone who's continued to do all of this work that makes our present strong, financially, in the health and safety of our community, in the forward-looking nature, and in the innovations that keep on coming. It's also been a year, and I'm not sure that we've talked about this as a community, but as you know, the building of Grand Valley, the physical building of Grand Valley, the bulk of our giving over 60 years went to the buildings and infrastructures required to grow this great university, both in Allendale and Grand Rapids. And our programmatic giving was there and existed. You know, we have a Seidman lecture series. We have a number of programmatic initiatives that we have secured philanthropic dollars for. But this has been, fiscal 21 has been our highest giving year for programmatic giving. And that's really key to our future, because our future is not solely about bricks and mortar going forward. We learned that this year. It's about our faculty. It's about our scholarship. It's about our innovations. Of course, it's also about our campus and how we can refresh it and keep it lively and the opportunities ahead. But this has been our highest giving year for programmatic giving, with gifts to the Next Ed Accelerator to get that underway, the Innovation Fund, Civil Discourse, Veterans Center being named, athletics programs being restored and embraced more broadly. And you all read yesterday the Thompson Scholarship that has supported 1,152 students with over $11 million. And most recently, a new Meridian Fund Scholarship that will support first generation students at the multi-million-dollar level. So we should be also acknowledging this work on behalf of reinforcing our university and people's belief in it. And they want to be a part of it. They want to be investors in our future. So let me turn to today and let me go back to my fives and look forward into the future. The first of my 5 areas I'd like to talk about, which I want to reinforce again, are certainly the priorities for our university and our broad-based thinking about our plan, but they're also my personal priorities. First is people. We need to keep people first. We have worked very hard coming through this to keep our people first, to keep our people safe, to be sure our students had a responsive university to the financial hardships, to the transitions, to learning online. We have to keep our people first. And that includes our plans to restore comp increases in this year's operating budget, and our plan to assure for students that financial aid is at a level that can support what we know is the economic impact and economic hits that their families have suffered. So that both of those elements will be in place in our budget planning. We also need to think about something, and when I asked Greg Saniel for the number, it even surprised me, which is that we offered a voluntary retirement incentive program this year. We did that for a number of reasons. We had budget reductions and cost containment, but we also know that there are people who served this institution, served it well over numerous years, were close to retirement, and it would be a benefit for them as well. So we offered that program, and a number of people took us up on that offer. 2 of which are on this call, Tom Butcher and Karen Loth, who I will miss dearly as we go into the next year. And I want to thank for their continued counsel and leadership to this university. And I will always remind them and everyone on VRIP that you're not leaving, you're just changing your status. You need to stay with us. But that VRIP program, it helped us to do something different than many institutions had to do, which was we had very, 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 very limited layoffs. Really, I can hold up the number on 2 hands. But we are losing, I'm going to say the number, 2,400 years, 2,400 years of service with our VRIP program. So that intellectual energy, loyalty, commitment, for all of us, it's going to be important to think about what we need to do to sort of be sure that we are whole, that people don't walk out with individual gaps that they create for our university and our experience. So we are working closely through the VRIP process to be sure that we both acknowledge the contributions of these some 100 people, but we also acknowledge the work we need to do as we come into the future on doing our best to make up for and to look at the opportunities in our new present day context for what we need going forward. So people is number 1. Number 2 is we're going to double down on who we are. You know, I was reading comments on the Reach Higher 2025 site. And there was one comment there that really made me chuckle, and it said something like, aren't we done with this process of putting this plan together yet? So we have some people who have been on this journey with us through every day, through the very first huddles I did in July 2019, who are probably exhausted by planning. And there's others that want to be sure that they mentally have the space to be participant in the planning. But if you've participated at any level in that planning, you know that what we are talking about and thinking about and planning for doesn't start with a new day, a new plan, but starts with our essence. It starts with who we are. It starts on doubling down with the relationships at Grand Valley. That's what makes us special. That's what we miss, being in relationship with one another face to face, with faculty, staff that have with our students, with our liberal education that undergirds our curriculum, with the breadth of our professional education, which enables students to put together academic plans for themselves and life plans that give them agility and opportunity immediately to get into the workforce, and agility over a lifetime. We are going to look in this coming year at our physical facilities. We have a team that's working of faculty around what it means to have active learning environments. We don't want to see our classrooms lined up in lecture rows. It's not a model that fits for us anymore. And so we're going to be looking at doubling down on who we are to be sure our environment is situated for the future. That means that we may have to shift, or may mean that some students are coming in line, or may mean, and they deserve as good experience as the ones that are in the classroom, or may mean that you have a pedagogy that requires very different things than the lecture rows. And so we're going to begin our process of enriching our campus development, going through and probably putting in fiscal year 22 a first set of classrooms that would be established as great active learning environments. The key to this work is you don't want to do it all at once, right? Because you got to live with it. You got to see if it fits for you, for the students. So we'll look at a plan over multiple years, but we'll start on it in fiscal 22. Third, we're going to have a clear plan and clear priorities moving forward. I know that people have seen a lot of energy this year, maybe energy they didn't want to expend on something, and energy that they felt could be put aside. We have a lot of energy. That's the positive. We have a lot of activities, a lot of energy. Now we owe it to ourselves to have a clear roadmap and clear priorities. In saying that, I want you to know that when you set priorities, there's always room for innovation. If you set a roadmap, if we were to set a roadmap to 2025 and ignored everything that was going on, think about doing that last year, it's impossible. The roadmap's 80% of the journey. A good leadership, good strategy is you plan for the 20% that you can't be certain of. And so we are going to have a roadmap with clear priorities. It doesn't take up all the space. There'll always be space for innovation. And those priorities include equity. This is what we've heard to date in Reach Higher 2025. Equity, learner-centered, and mission-aligned growth. Those are the things that have come across very strongly in a variety of words, but they have come across very strongly in the essence of who we are. The priorities as a community will be articulated into high-level strategies. They'll continue to be vetted. We're ending the year with a great work by the Reach Higher 2025 Steering Committee, and with our mission, vision, and values. If you haven't seen them re-articulated after much community input, from a first draft to a near perfect draft, that's kind of the way we're thinking about it. There's still room for input, but we're on the road with the direction that we as a community feel is a clear and compelling articulation of our mission, vision, and values. I don't think I need to tell this body why we need to continue our focus on equity and social justice. That should be self-evident. That should be clear. We as a university do not represent the society at large. We are a predominantly white university. We need to become a more diverse university. We need to be sure that everyone's voice matters. That's clear. We need to be sure that the outcomes, the achievement levels, the opportunities, the space for leadership is there for our diverse voices and our diverse constituency that we serve. So it is absolutely key and important that equity work continues. And I'm very grateful to the network of advisors for their continued work. You'll hear more about that. There's a session today on that. I'm very grateful to our co-leads, Mark and Tara and Janet, for your work in Reach Higher 2025. I do want to spend a moment on purposeful mission-aligned growth, because I think that's sometimes misunderstood. We need more students. We want to feed our enterprise. We want more resources. We want to get bigger. We want to be more self-important. No, that is not the why. The why is that our state and nation needs what Grand Valley State University has to offer. Our state and nation needs what Grand Valley State University has to offer. This state has low levels of bachelor completion rates for adults. Low levels, among the lowest. And we know, I'm grateful that the federal government and the state government is looking at things like free community college, but I'm telling you that is not enough. Is that what you're wishing for your children as educators? Or do you want them to have a baccalaureate degree because that is the degree of social mobility? So we need to continue our work. We need to continue to create opportunities for a diverse Grand Valley State student body. We need to continue our work for a diverse faculty and staff that can support those students and they can find role models that look like them in their classrooms. We need to continue our work to allow adults and veterans to experience Grand Valley who have life limitations. So purposeful growth is about our mission. Purposeful growth is about our mission and the work we can do. 4 is intergenerational stewardship. One of the things that you do when you work at an institution is you recognize that they live on beyond your lifetime. And that our obligation as leaders and educators is to be sure we ask 2 questions. Is what we're doing today good for our students? And is what we're doing today good for our enterprise over a lifetime? Don't get distracted by the things that are only good for today. The shiny object good for today. Those 2 questions have to be satisfied with the answer, yes, we believe it's good for our students and our community, and we believe it's good for our future that is intergenerational, which is why we save resources for uncertainty, why we hold on to reserves, why we'll be cautious with federal funding that comes our way to restore gaps in our university and the expenses that we've had to endure and cover. It's because we're intergenerational stewards and because we care about both of those things and not one is a priority over the other. And lastly, my 5th area is recognition. I believe in what we do. I believe in who you are. I believe in who we are as we come together as a community. And I think we have something to offer to national dialogue. I think we have something to offer to a world that's looking for university to be accessible, to be delivering on strong outcomes, to be preparing students for a future they're going to face, which is uncertain, and preparing them well. And we want to bring that recognition to Grand Valley, not only in West Michigan, not only in Michigan, but because the nation can look at us as among a number of beautiful models. The diversity of American higher education is incredible. It is not a system. It is not organized by you go here and you go there. It is organized around choice and diversity and difference. And we have something to do and something to say. So with that, I'd like to give our provost a few minutes to add her comments. And again, our provost will be leading a conversation as well, as will all the vice presidents. But Maria, you're such an important leader for us, leading our academic and student experience. Could you add a few words, please?
Great. Thank you, President Mantella. First of all, I want to add my thanks to what President Mantella said earlier. Thank you to facilities. UAS sent a letter to facilities recognizing just the tremendous amount of work that the president outlined. We're all very grateful for that, because without that, we could not have done anything this year. So that's first my thanks there. But also thanks to the faculty who care so much for our students, even in the midst of the burdens they were feeling in their own families, and learning new pedagogies at the same time. So thank you so much for that. Thank you to all our faculty governance committees who have worked so hard, UAS, ECS, FSBC, FPPC, to make sure that what we're doing at the institution does not damage both our faculty and our students, or has the least amount of damage. So thank you. And thank you to the AP committee, who also has given us terrific advice over this year. So the last thing I just want to say, President Mantella, is, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, but we can start to see the future. And I'm really proud of what we're doing in academic and student affairs. Not that we don't have to stay safe and those things that we really do need to keep doing and following the CDC guidelines, but we can start to see a future and learn from what we've done this year. What are those things that we can carry forward? And what are those things that we need to adjust? And what are those things that we realize we had been doing very, very well all along, and we want to underscore those. So in academic and student affairs, we're looking for new opportunities for students and all students, making sure that our mission has the largest footprint that we possibly can have, as President Mantella was talking about adult degree completers, but also our own students who are in that traditional age range, and our graduate students who want different types of experiences perhaps now. Helping students to understand the relevance of liberal education after a pandemic. When they're very concerned about getting a job, we have to help them understand how liberal education is the key to doing that, along with their career building curriculum. And diversity. In academic and student affairs, we recognize that diversity is top down. All of the provost cabinet, which includes the deans, all the associate vice presidents, all the vice provosts, as well as all of the staff in my office, have been working diligently throughout the year on making sure that we have a good understanding of how to move forward with regard to diversity initiatives, not only in the division, but at the institution. And the colleges and libraries and student affairs are doing the same. So that is something that we will continually need to work on. It's not something that we can do once, but something that we need to continue to work on as we look at hiring practices, as we look at retention practices for both students, faculty, and staff. And these are the things that we think about in the future in academic and student affairs. We're all moving together. So I know we're close to our time. I had a few more things, but if people will join me in the academic and student affairs breakout session, I can elaborate more. So thank you for giving me a few minutes, President Mantella, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Maria. And I want to really say two things before we leave, and then we will end on time, so you have a break before the Q&A. The first is that as we become more proximate to one another, as the hope that Maria has said manifests and we're able to do more safely with one another, I know that I'm making a personal commitment to conversations with leadership over the next year. You'll see opportunities when we come back together in the fall to get together in groups, faculty, staff, and students, mixed groups across all of our campuses. And I would urge you, when we announce the conversation with leadership series, these are conversations. There'll be no presentations. There'll be opportunities to ask questions and have conversation. And that will be coming in the fall of the year and go throughout the year. And the last thing I would like to say is to our students. You are my heroes. You are my hero. The fact that you kept moving, you kept working, you made every adjustment, because learning is so important to you, even with family and personal and work disruptions. Thank you for that. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for believing in Grand Valley. And I'll turn it back to Jessie Bernal, our Chief of Staff and VP for Inclusion and Equity.
Thank you, President Mantella. And I think all of us are looking forward to the future together. So thank you again, everyone, and have a great rest of the day, week, and summer.